Welcome back to part 3 of stock pot 3 refining series. And what I'm going to do is, this is some black powders that got filtered out of our silver and palladium solution. I'm not going to try chasing after this little bit of material. I'm going to add this to my paper storage. There was some chance of getting some silver in with our platinum group metals and gold, so I'm just adding this to my paper storage. In part 2, I did a copper test on the liquid in his beaker, and so what we're going to do now, a viewer pointed out that that test may have been skewed because I added hydrochloric acid first to test for the presence of silver chloride. So we're going to retest this liquid on these black solids over here. Put some down in a tube. Now I'll draw up a little bit of ammonia and test this solution for copper. Let's see what we get here. Aha! He was right. The hydrochloric acid that I added skewed the ammonia copper test, so we do have just a little bit of copper in this solution. I might give it another couple of rinses and retest a little further down the line. I'm going to bring our silver solution up here. It's got a little bit of palladium in it as well, and a piece of copper in here. I'm just going to leave this solution to continue to cement out. I think what we'll do is get the silver out of our way and just continue on working with the 2 platinum group metals that I have up here in the fume hood. Since we've got a little bit of copper in this solution, I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of distilled water to this material. We're going to put it up on some heat back here and boil it just a little while. See if we can get some of that copper out of those black mixed PGMs and gold. I've had the black powders boiling in water now for about 10 minutes. I'm going to take this now and set it down here, let it cool off, and we'll get rid of the water after it settles completely. Do one more water boil on these black solids. This is our second water boil. I've allowed it to cool and settle. Now what we're going to do is get a little bit of the solution. This is just distilled water that we boiled the material with. We'll reach down in here now and get some ammonia. Let's do a test. See if we got rid of that copper or not. That looks good. I don't see any blue color at all in there. I think it's safe to conclude that we've got all of the copper rinsed out of this material now. I'm just going to pour this off. There's the black material down in the bottom of the beaker. It's looking superb. Try not to disturb it too much. Every time I do one of these water boils, a little bit of the black material gets poured off with it, and that'll reduce our yield. not a whole lot here. For people expecting a big chunk of metal from this, I hate to disappoint you, but that's not very much at all. But it's still worth recovering rather than letting the trash have it. Well, we've got this black material cleaned up pretty good. I'm going to put some hydrochloric acid in, about 100 milliliters or so. Now we'll drop in a stir bar and get this thing stirring. I'm going to add some heat. And we're going to start putting in small doses of nitric acid. See if we can dissolve this finely divided black material. This has been cooking in aqua regia now for about 10 minutes. And I've got a little bit of solid material down on the bottom that's still kind of dancing around. If you look in the bottom of the beaker, you can see I've got some pieces in there that have not dissolved yet. So we're going to leave it on the stir plate and heater and let it go ahead and see if we can get the rest of that to dissolve. Here the fume production has ceased. Everything that's going to dissolve has gone into solution now. But I do have some suspended solids in that liquid. Here you can see the stir bar will kick it up. It's a gray material. Not quite sure what it is. So I'll set up a gravity filtration rig here. And we'll try to filter out the gray material from our precious metals solution. Here you can get a better look at that gray material. Not quite sure what that is, but we want to get it out of our solution. So we'll continue to get this filtered out and remove it from the platinum and gold solution. Here we're going to get the stir bar up out of the way. Continue to pour that gray material into the filter. And we want to rinse the material out and get the precious metals bearing solution down into our flask. Here you can see the gray material. And that'd be something if we had rhodium. I don't know if that's rhodium, but I don't know how to detect rhodium yet, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Here you can see I've got some solids that went through the filter. So now what I'll have to do is I've got a little Buckner funnel set up, and we'll filter those solids that's in the bottom of our filtered liquid there. We'll try to get that all filtered out using a vacuum filtration rig. And here you can see the material is an orange color in the bottom of the flask. It's built up on the filter, and there's some of it down in the bottom of our filter flask. I'm going to get this out of the way now. If you look down at the liquid, by rinsing with water, it's caused my solution to turn cloudy. Now the reason I'm narrating here is because I forgot to turn the mic on. So I had to mute the sound and do this narration track. Here we're going to transfer the solution out of the filter flask into a clean beaker. That liquid should have platinum group metals and gold mixed together. Going to get a quick Stannis test before we try to precipitate out the gold. There you can see we've got plenty of precious metals in that solution. Now I'm going to add sodium metabisulfite, stump out. to the solution and try to precipitate out the pure gold. Hopefully, the gold will come out of solution and the platinum group metals will stay in solution, although sodium metabisulfite is known to precipitate and bring down a little bit of the platinum group metals with the gold. I decided to boil the solution that has the gold and the platinum group metals in it to rid it of excess SO2 gas. I pulled the material, the orange material, out of here that was in the bottom of our flask, and I'm going to save that over here in a separate tight-fitting container. This, I'm not quite sure what that is. Might just be nothing, but I'm going to save that in the same container, tight-fitting container, because it's going to have platinum salts. Platinum salts are very bad for you if they get dried out and you breathe them. So I'm going to keep those filters in this closed container. This has been boiling now for about 10 minutes. All the SO2 gas should be out of here. We're going to let this settle now and cool and get the gold out of there. I've allowed the solution to settle. Now we're going to get a little on a piece of filter paper. Hopefully, all we have left is platinum. All the gold has been removed, and that looks like what we've got here. That's the most recent Stannis test. You can see orange and you can see green. Green is the palladium, orange is the platinum. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up a filter flask and get the gold out of our solution. Here's our gold settled out. We're going to separate the gold from the platinum solution now. Oh, look at all that gold. I didn't realize there was going to be so much. It's quite a bit of gold. Way more than I was anticipating. I'm going to get the gold out of this filter now. That's the gold. Put it down in a melt dish. Here's our button of pure gold, probably 98 to 99% pure. Let's get a weight on this thing. Oh, 10.6 grams of pure gold. What I'll do is I'll throw this in with my next batch of carrot scrap and repurify it in with that carrot scrap. Not a bad yield from the stock pot. 10.6 grams of pure gold. Nice. I've got these fantastic filters here. They're thick. There's 100 circles in here. I bought 2 boxes off of eBay, and when you pick a filter up, it feels like there's 2 or 3 of them there. But what we're going to do now is we're going to filter this solution another time and make sure that we've got all of the gold pulled out of here before we proceed. Here we go. Solution back through the same filter a second time just to make sure that we've got all the gold filtered out of our solution before we proceed and try to get the platinum group metals out of this solution. One more time just for good measure. Make sure we've got all of the gold out of here. When we pour it back through like this, the pores in this filter get plugged up by the fine particles of gold, and then it's more able to filter out even finer particles as we keep going back through the same filter. This is the solution that we've removed the gold from, and I can't help but feel that I'm chasing it down a rabbit hole, trying to get that little bit of metal out of that solution. That's what I did in stock pot video number 2. But what have we got to lose here? I'm going to put this into a large beaker, and then we're going to put it up on some heat and reduce the volume of liquid in this solution. That's a little bit of gold trapped in that filter from our platinum solution. I'll add this to my paper storage. Okay, the easy part is over. Now here's where the fun begins. This is our DMG precipitated material. I'm going to set that up on a stir plate. I'm adding a stir bar, and now I'm going to cover this with a little bit of hydrochloric acid. Now we're going to turn some stirring on here, get the stir bar going, add a little bit of heat. Now I'm going to add 6 milliliters of nitric acid, and my experience with this stuff, dissolving this precipitate, is you can get a runaway delayed reaction after adding the nitric very easily. I'm fairly certain we've got all this dissolved now. I'm going to leave it on the heat and let it cook until all of the fumes go away. And in the back there, you can see I'm concentrating that platinum solution. And so now we've got our platinum group metals concentrated in these 2 solutions. And we'll go from here. These have been on the heat for about an hour now. I'm going to turn all this off and let that stuff cool down. This solution has been reduced by more than half. So we're going to pull that down and let it cool. And we've got our 10.6 gram gold button that we recovered from our stock pot. I've got our solutions concentrated. This will conclude part 3 of Stock Pot 3. Thank you for watching.